Okay, welcome on. Welcome to the lecture number 18 on the mobile application development. So we know we are actually studying how to handle the events and which are the different input controls in the Android. Also, in this particular chapter, we are going to see how we can generate the different types of dialogues and how we can generate the different types of alerts. Okay, so for today's lecture, we are going to see three input controls and we are going to handle their events. Okay, so let's start with the first input control of today's lecture. So basically the first input control that we have today is the radio buttons. Okay, now most of you will have the idea about the radio buttons since you have already done the GUI programming with the Java as well as in C#. Okay, so radio buttons are nothing but the choice items for which we can select only one choice out of n items. So we can say that the radio buttons are actually mutually exclusive. So for selecting a choice, we have two types of controls basically. So one is the checkbox and another is the radio buttons that we already know. In case of the checkbox seen, we can select the multiple choices out of n choices at a time. In case of the radio buttons, you can select only one choice out of n choices. Now, in order to make the radio buttons mutually exclusive, it is most important that you must add the radio buttons in a single button group. Okay. Otherwise, if the radio buttons are separate or they do not belong to a single button group, they will not be mutually exclusive. Okay. So let's try to see how we can handle this. Let's create an Android project. Let the project build, and till it builds, we launch our Android device preview. So this is our Android device preview. Let's wait the Gradle build is finished in order to configure our project. So as you can see, the Gradle build is finished and our project is indexed successfully. Now in order to see the actual video buttons in action, we have to add the corresponding XML element which will belong to the radio button. So we'll simply create one radio button. So let's say width will be wrap content and wrap content. And for this particular radio button, will most common that is a gender. So please select the gender. So let's have the text as, let's say, male. So this is the first radio button that we have, and this radio button will have an ID of, let's say, male. We'll add one more radio button here. Let's call this particular text as a female, and the ID I'll be giving it as the same. That's female. Okay, now once you add the radio button, you can see here, since I haven't constrained this particular layout, so it's showing the error. So let me modify the layout as a linear layout. So I'll be using a linear layout with the orientation as vertical. Okay. Now let's try to run this code and see what happens. Now currently these two radio buttons are separate radio buttons. They don't have any kind of relation which will make them a mutually exclusive. Okay, so we have just taken the two radio buttons simple and added them inside my layout. Now let's see what happens when we try to run this kind of code. Now as you can see, it's installing the app, and once the app is installed, it will launch the activity. Now once I check a male, okay, you can see the female is get also checked. Now this is a wrong implementation for the radio button that we have. I want to make the two buttons mutually exclusive. Now the easiest thing that you can do is simply, as I said, these two radio buttons, if you want to make them mutually exclusive, you should add them in something called as a single group, and that is basically called as a radio group. Now radio group will be taking its width and height as a wrap content only, because its size will be as per the actual number of buttons that it is going to contain. So I'll be taking the width and height as a wrap content, and inside a radio group, now I am adding that particular radio buttons. Now it is very much important that for a radio group also you can provide the IT. Okay, so let me call it as a gender. So this will be a radio group which will have a specific radio buttons related to the gender. Now a view option that's available for radio group is a single view option. See, for this particular radio group, the underlying radio buttons are shown in a vertical direction. Okay, if you want to migrate them into the horizontal direction, you can choose the corresponding direction for your radio buttons. Okay, so let me check what is the option available for that. So the option is called as the orientation. So default orientation is vertical. If I change the orientation to horizontal, you can see the radio button will be arranged in the horizontal form. So I want to keep the default layout, that is the vertical orientation, for this particular radio group, and we are going to reload our app by applying the changes. As you can see here, it's applying the changes and relaunch the app. And once it relaunches the app, we can again see the radio buttons. But this time, if I select a male and if I try to select a female at the same time, the male gets unchecked. So we can say these buttons has become a mutually exclusive. The reason behind that is the radio buttons are added inside a same group. Okay. Now the question remains here, if we want to handle the event on this particular radio buttons, on which we should write the event handler, whether we should write the event handler on radio button or we should write the event handler on the radio group. Now let's try to see how we can do this. So we'll create the object of type radio group first of all. So radio group, let's call it as gender group. Okay, and I'll be matching the gender group with the corresponding element that I have inside my layout.xml. So I can say find view by ID r.id.gender. Okay, and we'll try to see whether any event handler is available for radio group or not. So let's say gender group dot set. Okay, now here we have one event handler and that is called as on check change listener. So we can basically take this particular event handler method for registration of event handler, and that method is called as set on check change listener. And as you can see, the on check change listener requires a parameter of type on check change listener interface. So I can create an object of type on check change listener interface by implementing it. So this will be an anonymous inner class. So I can say this is an anonymous inner class. And now here you can see on check change listener will consist of one abstract method, and that is called as on check change. Okay, so we are overriding that on check change method. So this is the override annotation which says that I am overriding the on check change method. Now basically it takes two parameters. The first parameter is the radio group and the second parameter is the integer I, which is the index of the radio button that I have checked. Okay, now let's try to use this particular argument which is of type radio group, that is the first argument, and let's see what are the options available. Okay, so I'm not telling you the coding by remembering the all methods. I'm telling you how to write your own code by seeing all the options available inside the IDE and by taking the advantage of the IDE's auto suggestions. Okay, so let's use a radio group and use dot, and here you can see what are the options available. Okay, now these are all the add options and set options. We have to identify whether there any get option available or not. Okay, so let me write it as GE. Okay, and here you can see, so when I write GE, you will see all the methods which are starting with the get as a prefix. Okay, and we are actually saying which get method I can use. So I can get the radio buttons that is checked. Okay, so you can see here, so if you search little bit, you can see here there is a method that is called as get checked radio button ID. Okay, so get checked radio button ID, and if you use control space here, you can see you are actually getting the ID of the checked radio button in terms of an integer. Okay, so I can say int ID is equal to radio group. So this is the argument dot get checked radio button ID. Now based on this particular ID, I can decide which radio button is checked by the user. Now how we can say that? So I can say radio button btn. Now we know whenever user will check a specific radio button, its ID will be passed and will be stored inside a variable called as ID. Now we can refer that particular ID, and based on that we can get reference to the radio button. So how we can get the reference? So I can say simply find view by ID and we can pass this particular ID returned by the get checked radio button ID as a parameter to the find view by ID. So I can say that whatever the ID of the checked radio button is there, that will be present inside this ID variable. And since we are passing this ID variable to the find view by ID method, this radio button BTN, so this particular object BTN will now contain a reference to the checked radio button. Okay, so if I check on the mail radio button, we can say this will be the ID of the mail radio button. And since this is the ID of mail radio button, the find view by ID will return me the reference of mail radio button, and hence the BTN will consist the reference to that particular mail. Okay, so this is the easy thought behind this. And now I can say that whatever the text is there, I can save that text inside a string. So I can say string gender selected is equal to BTN dot get text. That's it. Okay, so there is an error. What error it says? Let's try to observe. Now, as you can see, the get text returns the object of type char sequence, and we require the object of type strings. So no matter, we have to just write the method dot toString, which will convert the char sequence into the toString. Okay, and we can then simply display the gender selected by the user by using a toast. So I can say toast dot make text. Then this is the main activity, so I can write the context as main activity dot this. So on the current context, then the gender selected is saved inside a variable called as a gender selected, and we are actually displaying it for a long duration. So I can say toast dot create text, make text on the current context with the current value of gender selected for a long time duration, and we have to show that text by calling a show method on that. And then we have to run the application by applying the changes. And let's see what happens now. Now, as you can see, our app is launched now. Now, if I select mail, you can see it will display the toast of male. If I select a female, again it will display the toast with the corresponding text as female. Okay. Now the most important thing that you have to remember is, even if you are using a radio buttons as a control, the radio button is not a separate or independent control. In order to make the radio buttons mutually exclusive, the radio button must lie inside a single radio group. This is the first important thing. And the second important thing is, even if you are seeing the radio button as a control, we are not actually handling the event on the radio button, but we are actually handling the event on the radio group. Okay, so we are actually handling the event on the radio group, and which method we have to use for registering the event, and that is called as set on check change listener. So whenever inside a radio group, if any of the radio button value is changed, this particular method is going to be executed, and it has one abstract method that is called as on check change, which will always give me the ID of the radio group in which the check change event has been occurred, and based on that you can identify the corresponding radio button whose checked value is changed, and then you can implement the event in this way. So quite easy to handle the events on the radio buttons. Okay, so I don't think is there any doubt present in this particular part. If you have any doubt in this, you can please ask. Otherwise, we can proceed further. Okay, so handling a radio button event is basically handling the event on the radio group inside which we have actually created the radio buttons. Okay, so it's easy, I think. If you have any doubts, you can ask, or otherwise we'll proceed further. So I hope there are no doubts. Okay. Now the next control that we have is again one more choice control, and that is basically we have or we are calling it as a spinner. Now here might be a confusion that you will have. What is a spinner? So spinner is nothing but simply a drop down control. Okay. So most of the times in AWT or in Swing, you have seen something called as a combo box. Okay. So same kind of control is available in Android, but this time they are calling it as a spinner. So remember, spinner is nothing but the drop down control, which consists of n choices, out of which we have to select only one. Now, how the choices can be given to this particular drop-down control. So there are three ways in which I can give the data source for this particular spinner. The first way is I can give the array. The second way is I can give the list, which is basically, or most of the times is the array list. And the third way, I can use the resources. Okay, so we are going to see each thing, okay, precisely how we can actually create the spinner and how we can handle the events on the spinner and how to give the data source to the spinner. Okay, so let's see how we can do this. Okay, so we'll go to the main activity.xml, and whatever the layout we have created in previous example, we are going to delete that layout. So as you can see, whatever the radio group that I have created, that is no longer required to me, because I'm going to display the example related to the spinner. So whatever the previous code is there, I'm going to clear that previous code. Now inside the activity main.xml, I want to use a spinner. So here you can see this particular control, which is called as a spinner. So I'll use its width as a wrap content, and height is also, I'll use its width as a match parent, so it can occupy the entire width of the layout. Okay, now in this spinner, the most important thing that you have to give the ID to the spinner. So ID @+ID. Now the question is, what should be the ID given? So let's call it as a SP, or let's call it as a small spinner, or what we can give here. So we will call it as a langs. Okay, so here we'll have the list of languages, okay, out of which the user has to select only one language. Okay, now the problem here is you cannot give any of the data sources here inside the XML. Okay, the data sources should be given dynamically, and as we already shown, the data source be given in either of this particular one. So it can be in array, it can be inside an array list, or it can be in terms of the resources. So let's see how we can use the arrays here. Okay, so let's go here and let me refer the spinner first of all. So in order to refer the spinner from the XML, I need to create one reference of type spinner. That's a Java class. Let's call it as a spinner SP, and we can have SP is equal to our regular method, that's a find view by ID, r dot id dot what I said here, langs. So this is the spinner. Now since I said I need to give the data source to the spinner, okay, and it should be either in form of the arrays or in the form of the list or in the form of the XML resources. We'll first of all see the example by using the arrays. Okay, so let's say we'll create a string array, and we can call it as a languages, or let's call it as a programming languages or proglangs. Okay, and we'll create an array. So I can say new, or since it's a string directly, we can create the array directly in this way. So let's say the first language is C, the second language is C++, the language number 3 is PHP, language 4th is Java, language 5th is Python. Okay, that's it. So we have to create the array in this way. So new string. So this is basically an array of the strings that we have created. Now this array is ready. Now this array has to be set as a data source to the spinner whose name is SP. Now let's see whether there is any method available to set the data source Okay, so let's say sp dot and I'll use set. Okay, now since I want to set the data source for the spinner, I know that method should start from the set, or method is type of setter method. Now if you see here, there is no any method which sets the array directly, but if you observe the very first method, you can see there is something called as the set adapter, and which takes the argument of type the adapter. So I need to create first of all the adapter. Okay, so let's create one array adapter here. So array adapter is equal to new array adapter, and since we don't know what is, okay, just hold on. Hello. So here we can create the array adapter. Okay, now the problem is we don't know what is the actual syntax for the array adapter constructor. So we can simply hold control and we can click on it, and you can see which are the different constructors available here. So as you can see, we can use this particular constructor, that is the constructor number 3, because it uses 3 parameters. The first is of type context, the second is of type integer, and the third is of type the array. Okay, so context is nothing but the reference of the activity in which the array adapter should be created. Then second is the actual resource ID, which is a predefined resource ID, which defines how the list should be displayed. And third is the actual array from which we are going to create a list. Okay, so we are going to use this particular constructor. So as we remember, the first is the reference to the activity, so I can say main activity dot this. Then second is the resource ID. Now remember, this resource is not created by us. These are the some standard predefined resources created by the Android, which will define how our list will look. Okay, now how to access the predefined resources from the Android? Okay, so let's observe it carefully. So all the predefined resources of the Android will start with the Android. So this is basically a package name, then android.r. Okay, and since it's a layout resource, I can say r.layout. And here you can see different layout styles available that are predefined by the Android. So we'll go with the very simple we can say the layout, that's a simple list item 1. The complex layout we are going to see in the next example, but here we'll keep our layout as simple. And here we want to create the list from the array that we have created previously, that's called as a programs. So we can pass this array as a third parameter, that's a programs here. So I can say two things are ready for me. One is the spinner and another is the array adapter. Now we can use sp.setAdapter method by passing this adapter as a parameter. Okay, by passing this adapter as a parameter, and hence this adapter is created on the array of strings which consist of information of programming languages. I can say this particular array contents will be now set as a data source for my spinner. Okay, now let's try to compile and run our app and see what happens. So it is installing the app, and once the app is installed, you can see the spinner is displayed here. And if I click on that, you can see all our array items will now be displayed inside the spinner. Okay, so this is how you can set the array as a source for your spinner. Okay, in the same way you can go for the array list. Okay, the only simple thing is here, rather than having the array here directly, I can make use of the array list. So how I can change it here? So I can say array list. I can simply say it as an array list over the string proglangs is equal to, I can say, new array list over the string, and this array list is going to contain these items. So I'll remove this and we'll add the contents in this way. So proglangs dot add CP, Java and Python. So so even if I want to add the collection, I need to create the multiple items. Okay, so let me add it one by one. So proglangs dot add C++. Proglangs dot add Java. So we'll simply add just to show you an example and click to build our project and see the output. So as you can see, currently the array list consists of only 3 items, C, C++, and Java. And when I click on the spinner, you can see there are 3 items available inside the spinner also. Okay. Now this is how you can basically build a spinner either from array or from the array list. Okay. Now the most important thing is the third, how I can build the array list from the resources. Okay. Now this thing is very important. This thing is very much important whenever you have a very large number of items, okay, and you want to add it inside a spinner. Okay, let me tell you the most common example is in many of the registration form you will see the drop down item where you have to select the state in which you are living. Okay, so such kind of states almost India might have approximately 40 states. So adding every state by manually writing inside the array is practically impossible. So what I can have is I can copy the list of states from the internet and I can store it inside the resources. So let's see how it can be done. So let me open a Google Chrome first of all. Now, since the Android Studio also consists a huge amount of RAM, you might observe there is a lag in the system or a slowness inside the system. So we'll go on Google and we'll search for the states in India. We'll search for list of states in India. Okay, so there is a list of Wikipedia. So I want a list which is a plain text list. What I'll add here is plain text. Okay, so as you can see, here is alphabetical sorted order for list in India, list of states in India. And yeah, so I'll copy few of the states. I'll not copy all of the states. Let me copy first 15 states. That's up to Maharashtra. Okay. Now I have list of states. Okay. Now as you can see, there are 15 states I have copied. It's practically impossible for me to create the array of each 15 element to be added inside it. So what I can have is I can simply copy and paste it. So currently you can see this is my array, this is my spinner. I have just deleted the array adapter. Now where to add these particular states? Now since I said these are the resources. You have to navigate to the res directories, and inside the res directories, you have to go to the strings.xml. You have to go to the strings.xml. Now, inside the strings.xml, you have to create the array resource. Now, how to create the array resource? Simply use the element as an array, and here you can give the specific name to the array. So I'll be calling it as states. Okay. So this array will have the name as states. Again, the problem of Lunis. Let's wait. Now, as you can see, the Chrome and the Android Studio is running simultaneously, so that's why there are some lags. Let me close the Chrome first of all, okay, which will free some amount of RAM. Yeah, so as you can see, so I'll give the name of the states array as states. Of course, you can give your favorite name, and I can simply copy and paste the states here. Okay. Now, each of the item should be enclosed between the item element. So I'll simply press Alt, and I'll be going on selecting all the elements below. Let me use Alt, and let me go on selecting all the elements. As you can see, I have selected all the elements. There is a problem. So let me create the item element first of all. So for each closing item, I'll be adding the state. Now, edit the list. I'll delete the Andhra Pradesh, and whatever the elements which does not have the closing tag, I'll complete the closing tag, and let me see whether the syntax is correct. Yeah. So there is a parent element which says the corresponding thing is an array. Okay. Now the array has a specific name. You can give any name. I have given the name as states. Now this array will have the child elements. Each element will denote a separate state. Okay. Now each element will start with the item tag. Okay, and it will close with the closing item tag. So as you can see, each element inside the array is nothing but the item element which is enclosed between the opening and the closing tag. Okay, now I have to create the array from this particular resources. So I can say string state names is equal to, how you can write it, get resources, just to refer the resources, and from these resources you are going to get the resource of type array. So I can say get, okay, and let me write an array. So as you can see, when I write get a, there are three methods available: get int array, get string array, get text array. Now as you can see, we can either go for the string array or we can either go for the text array. But if you observe carefully here, text array will return me the array of type char sequence, but since we have the array of type strings, we will probably go with get string array. So I can say get string array, and get string array requires one parameter which is the id of an array. Now we know we have created the array with the name as states, so we can pass this as an id. So r dot how to refer r dot array dot states. Now since it is returning an array, the string should have the subscript operator here which will tell it's an array. Now you have the array again, and you can do the remaining things as it is. So I can create one array adapter. So I can create an array adapter. Let's call it as states is equal to new array adapter main activity dot this. So reference to the current application, current activity. Then Android, so layout ID. So Android dot r dot layout dot simple list item one, and then the array we have with the name state names. And once this is given, I can set this adapter to the spinner. So sp dot set adapter, the name of the array adapter I have created is states. Now again apply the changes and run the code. So I'll be applying the changes and running the code. Now it's building a gradle. What we have done here, the other implementation is same, just we have created an array, a programmatic array from the array which was available inside the XML resources. Okay, now let's see whether it will display. Yeah, so as you can displaying all the states inside, it is displaying all the states inside the spinner. Okay, so this is how actually the spinner will look. Okay, now similar to spinner, there is one more item available, and that is basically called as a list. Now as you can see, the spinner is basically a drop down item. Okay, and now if I change the corresponding spinner, if I change the corresponding spinner element with the another element that's called as a list view, okay, and I can take its width and height as a match parent, you'll be able to see what will be the difference. Okay, since it's a list view, I'll say it will be referred by the object of type list view. So I can say list view L. Now instead of spinner sp, I'll call L is equal to find view by id r dot id dot lines and L dot state adapter states. Now let's try to run our code again and see how different the list view and spinners are from the UI perspective. So as you can see, it's building a gradle, and this was a spinner which was actually a drop down, and once it will run the code, you can see what is the actual UI based difference between the list view and the spinner. Let's wait till it installs. Now it's installing the app, and as you can see, this is a list view. So in a spinner, we can view one item at a time. In case of a list view, it will create a list of n elements. Okay, so this is how you can display a list. Now the thing I said earlier, what is this particular second parameter? Now as I said already, this second parameter is nothing but a predefined layout styles which are available inside a package Android. So always remember, if you are defining your own layout, it should be accessed with r.layout. Okay, or if you are defining your own resource, how it can access with r dot. So your own resource will always start with r. Now if you want to access some predefined resource, it will start from android.r. Okay, so always remember there are two types of resource, that is a developer created resource and a predefined resource. So predefined resource that Android developers has already created, they will start with android.r, and the user defined resource or the developer defined resource will start with only r. Okay, now here we said this is how our resource will look when we'll go with the style of the resource as simple list item 1. Okay, now let's see which are the other options available. So let's say android.r.layout. Let's use the another layout. Okay, so simple list item checked. Okay, instead of simple list item 1, we'll use simple list item checked. And let's see what will be the difference shown in the list when I use or when I select this layout. Okay, now as you can see, it will display simply a checkbox. It will simply display the checkboxes in front of that. Let's try to observe what other options we have. Then there is something called as a multiple choice. Let's see what difference it makes in terms of the UI. So let's wait till it installs the app. Now, as you can see, once I select the multiple choice, it will now have the checkboxes. It will now have the checkboxes in front of that. Okay. So similarly, you can select your own layout style to display the item. So I'll go with the first one. That is a simple list item 1, which will display a simple list of all the states inside a list view. A simple list of all the states inside a list view, as you can see here. Okay, now the question is, we have studied a spinner, we have studied a list view. Now the question is how to handle the event on that. So event handler on both of them is same. Okay, so even if I show the event handler for list, always remember same kind of event handling will be for spinner, or even if I show you the event handling on spinner, same kind of event handling will be on list. Okay, so let me show you it on the list. So L dot set, you can say on click listener, or you can go with on item click listener. Okay, so on item click listener, new on item click listener, and as you can see, new on item click listener will give you one, implementing new on item click listener will give you one abstract method, and that is called as on item click. Okay, now just get the information about this by pressing a control and clicking on it. Okay, so when you press a control and click on it, you'll be able to see yeah, so you'll be able to see there is the documentation for that. So currently documentation is not displayed. So let me tell you, this particular I gives us the index. So let's see how we can identify that. So toast.makeText main activity dot this, then we'll have the value of I. Now since it requires a string, we'll simply append a blank text, and this should be displayed for a long duration dot show. Okay, now let's try to compile this and try to build our project. Now you have to observe the toast carefully. So as you can see, if I click on Arunachal Pradesh, the toast is displaying 0. If I click on Assam, the toast will display 1. Okay. If I click on the Goa, the toast will display 4. Now can anybody tell me what will be the actual value displayed inside a toast? I just need your answer in the chat box. So what I said is, the corresponding toast is displaying the value of I. But what is the value of I? If I click on Arunachal Pradesh, the value of I is displayed as 0. If I click on Goa, the value of I is displayed on as 4. If I click on Bihar, the value of I is displayed as 2. So can anybody tell me inside the chat box what is the actual value of I, or what the actual value of I is denoting? Yeah. Any other answer? Any other person from Kiran wants to answer that? So So it's displaying the value of I, but what is the actual significance of I? Or what actually the variable I denotes, or the argument I denotes? So can I say the I is basically the index of the element on which I have clicked? Okay, so we have the array of elements which are displayed inside the list view. So once I click on any of the element, okay, the index of that particular element from an array will be considered as I, will be considered as I. So simply, if I want to display the corresponding element, I can simply refer my array with that particular index. So I can say, if I want to display the element instead of index, I can say the elements are stored inside this states array. And since I is the index, I just have to display the element at index I from the states array, from the states array. So I can say that this is the way in which I can display the corresponding items that I have selected. What it is? Yeah, so the array name is state names. The array name is state names. So I have to write here it as state names of I. So let me run this code and see the output. So as you can see, once I click on Goa, it will select the index as 4, and the index 4 element from the state name is Goa. So it will display the element as Goa. So if I click on Bihar, it will display the Bihar. Okay, if I scroll down and if I click on Maharashtra, it will display the corresponding element is Maharashtra. Okay, so these were the control that we are supposed to look in the today's lecture. So three controls we have seen today. That's a radio button, then a spinner, and then a list. Okay. In the next lecture, what we'll be actually trying to see is how to create a custom list. Now, currently, you can see. Let me just wait. So currently, let me launch the preview again. So currently you can see this is the simple list that's shown. Okay. In the next lecture, what we are actually trying to see is how to create the custom list which will have the appearance in this way. Okay. So what is the appearance here? We have one icon. In front of that, we have the actual text. Okay. So the default list given by the Android is really simple, which consists of simply text. Okay, now what if I want to add the different icons in front of that we are actually going to see in the next lecture. So I think that's it from me for today's lecture. If you have any of the doubts, you can post it in the chat box. I'm waiting for your doubts, or if you don't have any current doubts, you can ask me afterwards. Okay, so if there are no doubts, you can leave the meeting.